So hi, welcome to the Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Matty Mullins from the band Memphis May Fire.
And we're going to ask them some questions today about their upcoming album, Remade In Misery. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
It's been awesome, dude. Yeah, obviously, 9 of the 11 songs are already out because we've just been releasing singles over the year. But it's been awesome. Like the whole plan and the rollout for it is that it's exactly what we wanted it to be.
So I am a little curious, like, about the 9 out of the 11 songs coming out. Like, what was the thought process behind that?
Yeah, I mean, we just noticed with previous albums that, like you have your few singles, and then when a record comes out, you've got super fans that'll dive in like really hard and jam, front to back and really digest the whole album. But for the most part, the way that music is being consumed right now so rapidly, it's a lot about single formats and playlists and things like that is the way that songs are really discovered. So the only way to, get every song on the record playlisted was to release them one by one and let people digest them individually and have the opportunity to connect with each song as its own entity rather than as just a part of an album. And then, once the record comes out, people will hear the album in the order it was meant to be heard in. And I think kind of fall back in love with some of the songs that came out months ago. And so all around, I mean, it's experimental for sure. And it's an unorthodox way to roll out a record, but it's been really cool.
But I think you're totally right, because like Blood and Water was one of my favorite songs that came out last year, and like listening through the album again, I'm like starting to like really fall back in love with that song again. So like I think your plan worked.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much, man. That's very cool.
Of course.
Sure. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Definitely. Yeah. The album title is Remade in Misery. Another way of saying, forged in the fire, so to speak, because I believe that we turn into the best versions of ourselves when we go through the hardest moments in our lives. Like the natural human thing to do is like to want life to be easy and comfortable all the time. But that doesn't force any growth. Oftentimes our biggest growth moments are when we go through something that's harder than we thought we could handle, and we get through it and we learn a lesson and we have a new scar, and scar tissues are stronger than skin. And, it sucks to go through something that is painful. But without those painful moments, we will never transform, and so that's what it means to be remade in misery. The whole record is full of different trials and tribulations in my life that are, I'm sure, similar to so many people's lives, because pain is such a universal language. It's what life looks like.
Yeah. Definitely.
Sure.
And then the cover art, is there any meaning behind that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we had basically that symbol is not a digital creation. It's actually a physical cutout of our logo, or like of our symbol, that was placed in a bunch of different environments, smoke and paint, like all sorts of things, and then touched up digitally after the fact. But that one is just it's in this like smoky chamber where it's essentially going through the fire. It's our logo going through the fire and being forged in a sense.
Definitely.
Wow, that's so cool. I love how it all ties together.
Yeah, totally.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it wasn't super different than usual. We wrote the record during the pandemic, which was rad because for most bands, they write in the same environment, but we never have. So it didn't slow us down at all that like I would write at my house and Kellen would write at his house, because that's how we've always done things. But one thing that was different on this is that, one of my best friends, Cody, he plays and sings in a band called Wage War. He lives right down the street and we hang out every day, no matter what.
Oh, that's
right?
awesome.
Like during the pandemic, he was part of my little circle of people that we would hang out with. And he was here every day anyways. I was like, hey, do you want to write one of these new Memphis tunes with me? And he was stoked. And after the first one, we were like, man, this is magic, because we're so close and we're so similar in so many ways. But we're different in all the right ways when it comes to the writing environment. And we were able to encourage each other and challenge each other. And, had a lot of times where we would track a demo vocal at the end of the day after writing, like right here in my studio, and then used that actual vocal on the final record because
Wow.
it was like we were having so much fun that we just got great takes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was different, and I'll definitely write with Cody more in the future. But aside from that, you know, like pretty standard for us, except we had so much time because we couldn't go on tour and we couldn't do anything because of the pandemic. So yeah, it was awesome.
That's super cool. And I'm
That's
glad that you
awesome.
guys like got to write like in person instead of like doing the Zoom sessions and stuff like that. Like you guys got to be in a room and create that magic even during the pandemic.
Totally, man. Yeah. There was not a single day during the pandemic that Cody and I were not together. So
You mentioned that obviously you had a lot more time because we're in a pandemic. Did you ever find yourself kind of going insane, kind of nitpicking every little song, or were
Definitely.
you just kind of cool about it?
Oh no, it was grueling. I mean, like, you know, the best songs come together really quick. And when a song comes together really quick, you like second guess everything. You're like, wait a second, is that actually great or is that really cheesy? Like, why did that happen so fast? And so yeah, I mean, I'd go back and forth, and I do that on every record, honestly. Like, I'll go back and recut a vocal 2 months later, you know, a few days before the record's supposed to come out, you know. And
Oh wow.
I've always been really hard on myself in a studio environment. So yeah, definitely had more time to do that, and definitely did that a lot.
That's completely fair.
Yeah.
So what song off this album took the longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
The one that I spent the most time on writing was the last track on the record. It's kind of an outro to the whole album, and it kind of sums the whole album up. I've always been a hope enthusiast, and I love to add a positive twist at the end of a negative song. That's always been something that I've loved to do. But I realized over the last few years that like when you're in a really tough season, you're going through something really hard, you don't need a pat on the back from someone saying like, hey, it's going to be okay. Like, you need someone to say, hey, I've been there too, and I get it, and it's hard, and I'm sorry that you're going through that. That's what all these songs are on this record, and there's not a whole lot of like hope in each song, except for the fact that I genuinely believe that a lot of hope in the beginning of healing comes from just hearing from someone else's perspective that they're going through something that you are going through, and that you're not alone in what you're going through, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, like when the record ties up that way, I wanted to say a lot. I wanted to say a lot in a short period of time, and I wanted it to be really powerful. So I spent a lot of time on that one, and it's cool. Like, there's a lot of really cool like vocal effects and like background things that we use in that tune that we've never used on a record before. And I think like if people dive into it, it's not a heavy song. It's very different from the rest of the record, but I think when people dive into it, they'll be stoked for sure.
It's definitely a super cool
100%.
song, and definitely a cool song to end off an album on. Yeah.
Appreciate it. That's awesome.
So I want you to tell us your favorite lyric off this album and the meaning behind it.
Oh man. This record's full of a lot of one-liners, a lot of fun one-liners for a live setting, you know? But there's so much, dude. I'm on the spot here. There's this line in The American Dream that is in the chorus that felt so cool that I couldn't believe I wrote it. I was like, I'm a fan of this, what just came out. It's very cool. I know that sounds like so stupid and egotistical, but it's rare in a writing environment when you're not like just beating yourself up. You know, like I'm constantly beating myself up. So in that chorus, when it says, I need a he said, she said, reset, give me truth, give me something to believe in. Just that the way that he said, she said, reset sings, like the way that it falls out of your mouth when you say it and everything gives you like a little serotonin burst. It's cool. It's like, it just feels cool, and also very relevant for the time that we were going through that lyric. And so, yeah, I would say maybe that.
Hell yeah. That's a good line.
Incredible. Yeah. So how did the track list for this album come about? Did you guys write the opener to be the opener, closer to be the closer, just kind of shuffle it around? What
The Fight
was
Within
that like?
was always going to close the record. Always. But aside from that, it was kind of tough. We were like, man, should we just put the record out in the way that we've released songs, because that way people can kind of digest it the same way? And I was like, no, it needs to be cohesive. It needs to feel right. And so I put the track listing together probably just like 6 months ago, like well after we had already been releasing songs,
Oh,
and
wow.
decided to leave Misery and The Fight Within as album tracks rather than singles as well. Like those decisions were all kind of made on the fly. The cool thing about the way that we release the record is that with DSPs, really all they need is a 4-week heads up before you put out a song. So you deliver a song 4 weeks ahead of time, and then 4 weeks later it comes out. We never had to decide what song was going to be next until 4 weeks out. So like as we would put out a song, I would decide which one was going to come out next, and it was just kind of this like flow of, what mood am I in, and how do I feel, and what do I want people to hear next. And there's a lot of freedom in it, a lot of it. Like it felt like a cool creative process that I never really assumed we would have the opportunity to do as a band.
Yeah, that's super sick.
Wow. I didn't know you could do it that soon. It was that last minute.
Yeah, you totally can. Yeah. Like when you put out a record, there has to be this a pretty lengthy amount of time for, like artwork and packaging and like, actual printing of, physical things like the vinyl and like everything. That takes a long time. So you have to plan ahead for that, and you have to know like what the album release date is. But as far as like a band just being like, hey, I'm going to do something different, I'm going to put out singles instead of just dropping 3, and we could just do whatever we wanted. We could drop whatever, whenever. And it was super cool. It was cool because it felt like we were excited about new Memphis May Fire all year long.
Yeah.
True.
God. Stokedness,
For sure.
And I'm glad that like in terms of the track list, you didn't like just go down the order, and like the track list is the way that you guys put out the singles, because it's like it makes a new listening experience. You might have already heard 90% of the record, but at least like when you're listening through again, you're hearing them in a different order.
Totally. That's definitely the goal. So I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. So where was your headspace at while you guys were writing this album?
Man, it was tough because the pandemic was like the worst and simultaneously best time ever. We had watching tragedy after tragedy after tragedy unfold all over the world, and not being able to go on tour, and like my wife lost her job during the pandemic, and like all this kind of stuff where a lot of people were just going through a lot. But we were also like, because we weren't allowed to tour, all we had was the music. And since all we had was the music, we were so hyper focused on making songs that we loved and songs that we really wanted to put out, that made for some of the best days ever. And me and Cody would come up, we would write all day, and then we'd invite friends over that night. Like we have a bunch of friends just in our neighborhood. My next door neighbor, like the house directly across the street, is Cody's childhood best friend.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So we would just we would jam. Like we just jam the songs together and enjoy them, and sit around a bonfire, and we got a lot of quality time. Like it was like a reset. I got more time with my wife than I've ever had in our entire marriage. So it was a strange mindset. You wake up and you're like, what absolute insane thing is going to happen today?
Yeah.
And also, I can't wait to get into the studio and make more music, so.
Hell yeah.
For sure. I've never heard that take of the pandemic. For whatever reason, we've always just heard the super good or super bad when we talk to artists. Yeah. But it's very nice just hearing both sides. Just like, it's really awful waking up and seeing all this stuff happen, but at the same time, I'm still able to create, hang out with my family and hang out with my friends and enjoy that time.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's miserable to only live in a negative space. It's like, obviously the pandemic was awful for a lot of reasons, but there's awful things that happen every single day around the world.
Yeah.
And life is short. Life is way too short to take a 2-year pandemic and waste it sulking in misery when you could be being remade in misery.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Ridiculous.
My dad was proud of that one for sure. You life is what you make it. Negative experiences are what you make it. And we tried to definitely make the best of it. So.
Hell yeah.
For sure. Happy to hear that. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should they play it in the car with friends, start with headphones on? Should they blast at a party, work out to it? What do you personally recommend?
Oh man, I don't know. Whatever your environment is, like I like listening to music in headphones when I'm running, but my preference for music is my car. I get so used to like my exact stereo system, the way I have it EQ'd and everything, that like that's how I like to experience it, because I know that I have this is my space to enjoy my music at the fullest and like review mixes and make notes and stuff like that. And so when another artist puts something out and they say, hey, I've done everything I can to make this the best I possibly can, I like to listen in my car just as a tip of the hat, you know, like saying, hey, I'm gonna give this the best shot possible. So I mean, if you whatever your prime music listening environment is, do it there. If you like to jam while you work out, it's an honor that people use our music for fitness. You know, if you like to, you know, shut yourself in your bedroom for a couple hours and just put your headphones in and you know, say goodbye to the world for a little bit, do that, you know. But whatever it is, we're just stoked for you to hear it. So
hell yeah,
perfect. And I assume you listen to the final masters in your car.
Absolutely.
Hell
good.
Yeah. All right.
Very
yeah.
that.
Every single day. Yeah. Me and Kellen and Cody would all be out in the whip jamming like nonstop. And I mean, like we would listen, come inside, tweak a tiny thing, go back out to the car.
Oh my God.
Tweak a tiny thing. So it was kind of a constant process of that for like a year straight.
Wow. So you all listen to the final masters together in the car?
Sometimes, yeah. Me and Cody, like I said, we're literally, when we're not on tour, we're together every single day. So it's like, that's not an issue, right? But like when we're not, like when we are on the road and everything, we'd jam separate. But during the pandemic, we were always together. So.
Hell yeah. So this question should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words, no more, no less.
In 3 words?
Yes.
Best Memphis yet.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think that, I think that there's no way that anybody can argue that. I think that if you prefer one of our older albums, it's probably because it came out at a time when, you know, it feels nostalgic. When you listen to it, it makes you feel like you're 16 again and like driving in your first car with your girlfriend and like all these like rad memories that are associated with music. But that doesn't mean it's our best record. Remade in Misery is undeniably, undoubtedly our best record ever.
Hell yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah, thanks.
So is there a certain feeling or emotion you want this album to invoke in your listeners?
Yeah, definitely. A sense of community and a lack of isolation. I want people to listen to these songs and make them feel not emotionally isolated anymore. I hope that people can use it as an emotional release. I hope people realize that, you know, the things that I'm going through, the things that they're going through are human things. You're not crazy. You're not a bad person. You don't deserve what you're going through. I'm sorry that you have to put work in to get through what was done to you, but everything will be okay. Every single day, wake up and be thankful for life. And just know that the pain that you're feeling is a universal thing. We're all going through this together. And I want our music to be a reminder that, hey, you can live through this and you can do it with a community of people that understand you and who you are and know how bad you're hurting, you know?
Hell yeah.
God,
I like that.
That was really good.
Oh, powerful. So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this album?
The jam sessions for sure. Like it was just me and Cody writing vocals and then we would track. And then as soon as that night, you know, like my wife, his girlfriend, our neighbor, you know, like my neighbor's wife, you know, like we would all come up in the studio and we would just rage. We would just like crank it up to 10 and jam and get so stoked. And then I would make notes and like while songs happening, I'm like, oh, we got to change that tomorrow, you know? And, you know, like, just kind of go through it. And we had so much fun. And I mean, like I had like a bonfire one night and I invited just a bunch of random people from, and this was like towards the end of the pandemic. I got a new fire pit, like a metal fire pit that is like smokeless or whatever. And I was like, everybody come over. And Chris Carrabba and Brian Head Welch came over that night. And I made some like really whack chili. It wasn't even very good. And like some hot dogs or whatever. And we just sat around the fire and I was like, you guys want to go hear the new Memphis record? And I'm like sitting there with 2 of my friends, but people that I absolutely idolized my entire you know, all through my teens and everything. And even now I love those guys so much. And we're just sitting here listening to this record and being so excited. That memory specifically was pretty insane. Yeah.
That's so sick.
Wow. I'm so happy you had that moment with them.
So cool. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour. You're at a gas station for a rest stop. You're going in. What is your snack of choice?
Oh my gosh. Haribo gummy candies. The snakes, the two snakes together with the one is sweet and one is sour.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, on this last tour, the one that we just finished with Dance Gavin Dance,
yeah,
I probably consumed an entire bag of Haribo every single day by myself.
Oh my God. Are we talking like the little snack bags? Or are we talking about like the jumbo bags?
Not the jumbo. I did buy one of the jumbo ones at Walgreens because they had like the multi-pack. It was like all of the different Haribos in one. But to me, like how like kind of hard and chewy Haribo gummy candies are, like how stiff, stale almost they are.
Yeah.
Is unbelievably addictive.
It is.
I cannot get enough of it. And my band was like, dude, you really need to stop buying these because I was just going so hard on gummy candies. But those snakes, my gosh.
They're addictive.
Are a real treat. What about you guys? What's your gas station snack?
Oh my God. Probably, I usually say like sour gummy worms. They're just my favorite. It doesn't matter the brand. Well, usually if they're like the super hard ones where it's almost kind of like a taffy, those are a big no for me because gummy shouldn't be like that. But any other brand, delicious. I usually go for gummy worms.
Nice.
My go-to is usually potato chips. If they have the Lay's dill pickle, I'm grabbing like 4 of those. If not, salt and vinegar is fine.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm talking about. I also, anytime we're in like a random podunk place and we go to an actual gas station rather than like a truck stop and it's a local place, they will usually sell local beef jerky from farmers like in the area. And I will always support like local farms in that way and go in and buy like a bunch of it, even though it's like $30 for a small bag.
Right? Yeah.
But that's a lot of fun for me, like just trying different local stuff. Food is actually a huge motivator for me, like with touring, even when times are like tough on the road and everything. I love trying different restaurants and eating at places that I never would have gotten to go to if I wasn't, on tour. I had Indian food in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming.
Oh, it's going to be good.
It was literally like the only restaurant for miles and miles and miles. And this beautiful Indian family had this restaurant right there across from this crappy hotel where our bus was parked. And I was walked in and I was like, man, this is wild. And it was the best garlic naan and the best butter chicken I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it's insane, So that kind of stuff is really fun on the road.
For sure. You can always trust those smaller restaurants to always bring through like the best food ever.
Absolutely.
It's incredible. Yeah.
So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
Barbecue for sure, dude.
All right.
Memphis Fire, the whole 9, right? I'm really into barbecue. Like actually barbecuing. I like to do that. And so we've actually talked about doing like our own barbecue sauce or our own hot sauce or like rubs and things like that. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, Memphis May Fire and just like the guys in the band, the music we make, the roots of the band, like being from Dallas and everything, like we are a barbecue band for sure.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So for these last couple questions, we're actually going to shift away from music, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, totally.
Great. So we're actually going to go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Holy crap.
We like food. Sorry.
Yeah. That changes often, I think. My answer to that would change, but I would say right now, a California burrito from Alejandro's in Carlsbad, California, with a limoncello LaCroix.
Nice.
Oh, LaCroix. Wait, what's in the burrito though? I've never been.
So a California burrito, a proper California from SoCal, right? California burrito is very simple. It's carne asada, super crispy French fries, sour cream, and sometimes guacamole. And then they'll put all that in the tortilla, and then they'll like pan fry the tortilla. And you just dice into it, and you've got juicy steak, crispy fries, the sour cream aspect of it, and it just all just kind of melts together and just in this like crunchy, chewy, tortilla-y, like heaven. It's heaven.
That sounds so fucking good.
I'm
vegan, and that sounds fucking good.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're in San Diego, Lolita's claims to be like the inventor of the California burrito. It's a really, really solid California burrito. Lolita's is awesome. But if you're in Carlsbad, and you can find the little tiny drive-through called Alejandro's, get the California burrito there. It'll change your life.
All right.
Okay. Bucket list. Definitely on my bucket list for this year.
Yeah.
So if you could,
where do you guys live?
I'm in New Jersey.
I'm in Virginia.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it'll be a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So if you could live in one fiction world for a week, where would you live?
I don't really know what a fiction world is.
Like a comic, a TV show, a movie. Yeah, fictional world.
I thought you were talking about like the worlds that my nephews build in these video games.
No.
Oh.
I mean, unless you want to live in one of those, that's fine too.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know. That's so hard.
Like
what would your guys' be? Give me some inspiration.
Oh shoot.
Diary of a Wimpy
Mine's
Kid.
changed. Oh no. I used to say Peaky Blinders, but I don't want to live there anymore because it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, maybe because he's like right in front of me, maybe like one of Bob Ross's paintings. I don't know. I feel like it'd be nice.
Nice. That would be cool. Shane, what did you say?
Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Oh, really? Diary of a Wimpy Kid?
Yes.
I'm going to go with Homeward Bound.
Nice.
And go on the journey with the two dogs and the cat. I think that would be pretty lit.
Hell yeah.
I haven't seen that movie in years. It's so good.
Save them from the blood red van, Just
Mm-hmm. Is that the same movie where the dog gets like pricked by porcupines?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Chance, Sassy, and I can't remember the golden retriever. I can't remember what his name was. It's been forever.
Yeah. Guess we got to watch it again then.
Yeah.
Solid.
Let's all get in a watch party. We'll watch it later.
So I have the honor of asking the last question, and every single person we've spoken to has actually said it is the most important question. What is your favorite color?
Black.
Nice. Mine too.
I know
Perfect.
It's technically a shade or whatever, but it is my entire wardrobe, and it is the color of my car, and it is the color of every single thing that I possibly can find. Like, I paid twice as much on this tour for a camping chair at Dick's Sporting Goods because it was the black one.
Dude.
That's great.
You have your priorities. That's good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Me and all the boys, we all pretty much stick to black.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
So as Gloria said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Yeah, for sure. Remade In Misery comes out June 3rd. I am so incredibly proud of this record. So happy about it. So stoked on the response so far. If you haven't listened to us before, please go check it out. If you have heard us and maybe didn't get into the last couple albums or whatever, we've been around forever. I get it. Check this one out. I think it'll change your mind. I think you'll be excited. And the Octane Presents Remade In Misery tour starts next month. Check out the dates at memphismayfire.com and come out and see us at a show.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you for now. That's been Matty Mullins from Memphis May Fire, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.